Hi there, I'm Nikki. My mom was a famous jewelry designer. We were swimming in money. Unfortunately, sparkling diamonds sometimes attract the attention of bad people. That's why I was betrayed. Don't worry, it's actually quite a funny story. Don't believe it? Press like and get comfy. I loved to throw fancy parties and make dramatic entrances. One day, I decided to jump out of a huge cake at my own birthday party. Everyone would be lost for words. The waiter rolled the cake I was in into the room with my friends and my boyfriend Hugh. I was waiting for the lights to be turned off so I could jump out and surprise the guests. However, while I was in the cake, I heard what my close friends really thought about me. They were saying that I was insufferable and they only hung out with me for the sake of money. Can you believe it?
Nikki is so annoying. If she didn't give me expensive gifts, I would have dumped her a long time ago.
I couldn't believe Hugh said that. I couldn't bear it any longer, so I jumped out of the cake and I kicked everyone out of the party and my life. I was gutted, but decided that I wouldn't cry because of some fakes. I deserved friends who would love me and not my wallet. So I asked my mom to transfer me from a private school to a public one.
No.
She didn't like my idea, but you know who always supported me? My dear Grandpa Finn. He had few, teeth, but was always full of energy and positivity.
I am a wise wizard. I will turn those who hurt my granddaughter into piglets. Although, those who hurt girls eventually become piglets without any of my help.
Grandpa helped me talk my mom into agreeing. Okay, Nikki, let me at least hire a bodyguard for you. No way! I'm an adult and I can take care of myself. Mom sighed, but agreed. Yay! A new chapter of my life had begun. I was excited when I came to my new school. I wondered what adventures awaited me there. Would I find new friends and maybe true love? I was daydreaming and I bumped into a teacher in the hallway. I apologized and was about to move on, but he blocked my way. I'm Mr. Collins, the new art history teacher. Could you tell me where the principal's office is at? There was something fishy about that guy. He looked more like a boxer than an art connoisseur. I also found it suspicious that this was his first day at the school, too. Then, I took a closer look at him and I saw a ring on his finger. I recognized it! It was from last year's collection by my mom. Had she hired him to spy on me and paid him with a piece of jewelry? Ugh! I couldn't trust anyone. Since Mr. Collins worked for my mom, I decided I would make it hard for him to keep track of me. I ran away from the teacher down the hallway and slipped through the first door I saw. Phew, that was close. I stepped back from the door and bumped into someone.
Hey, what are you doing here? This is the men's locker room.
I turned around and saw a gorgeous guy. Oh, hello there, handsome. Have we met in my dreams? Then more boys walked into the locker room and I felt awkward.
Get out, we need to change.
I'm new here and I got lost. Chill. What a jerk. I snorted and I went out into the hallway. The good news was that Mr. Collins was no longer there. The bad news was that my first class was art history. By an amazing coincidence, I ended up in the same class as that guy from the locker room. His name was Billy. Judging from his clothes, he was on the soccer team. All the girls were drawn to him like flies to syrup. And I wasn't really surprised. After all, Billy was pretty cute. Then, Mr. Collins walked into the classroom. He used a projector to show us a painting by Salvador Dali. And then he said that the topic of the lesson would be the Baroque art movement. What? What did that have to do with Salvador Dali? Our teacher didn't know anything about art. Now, I was sure that Mr. Collins had been hired by my mom. Heck. Well, I guess I wouldn't be taking my eyes off him either. I decided to have lunch outside and found a spot on the school lawn. I had just taken out my sandwich when I heard a familiar voice.
Nikki, I'm sorry, I was a moron. Please come back to me.
It was my ex-boyfriend, Hugh. He had the audacity to come to my new school. Can you imagine? Get lost, Hugh, you're ruining my appetite. But he kept begging for forgiveness like an annoying insect buzzing around my ears. Then, broad-shouldered Billy suddenly appeared behind Hugh and glared at him.
Are you deaf? She said she didn't want to talk to you.
Hugh immediately turned tail and ran away, and Billy sat down next to me with a smile. We had lunch and joked about the incident in the locker room. I really liked him, and it seemed like the feeling was mutual. But I had been wrong about people before, and now I was worried that Billy would find out that I was rich and only hang out with me because of that. When I got home, the first thing I did was confront my mom. I was pissed that she'd hired Mr. Collins in secret and thought I wouldn't figure out he was a bodyguard and not a teacher. I don't know what you're talking about, sweetie. Yeah, right. Mom turned out to be a pretty good actress and denied everything. Of course, I didn't believe her, but now I was even more worried. How was I supposed to act around Billy? I was thinking about it by a fountain when Grandpa found me. He sat down next to me and threw a fishing rod into the fountain to cheer me up.
I hope my catch will be good.
Why are you so glum, Angel? I told him about my feelings for Billy. Grandpa smiled slyly and said that we should test him.
If he's interested in you, nothing will scare him away. I'll help you.
It was a great idea. My grandpa was a genius.
Oh, look! I got a big one.
Perhaps he was a crazy genius. In the morning, he drove me to school in a wreck of a car. My classmates started to laugh and point their fingers at me, but Billy was delighted. We can't really afford a good car. It's gorgeous, a real rarity. His reaction pleasantly surprised me. I wanted to know more about Billy, so I asked him if I could come to his soccer practice. Sure. I came to the school stadium and I saw Billy on the bench. It was kind of weird. Then one of his teammates came up to me and said that the coach rarely let Billy out onto the field.
Billy only looks like a good athlete. He's actually pretty clumsy and he can't run very fast.
So what? I didn't care about all that. I bought a soda and I sat down next to Billy to cheer him up. Hello. Even on the bench, you still look great. I heard a weird clicking noise behind us, and when I turned around, I saw Mr. Collins in the stands. Our eyes met, and Mom's spy quickly left the stadium. I tried to hide how mad I was from Billy. After all, he thought I was an ordinary girl from a poor family. He offered to walk me home after school. I panicked and I called Grandpa. We couldn't let Billy see our mansion.
Calm down, I've already thought of everything.
He gave me an address and told me to bring Billy there and pretend that was my home. So that's exactly what I did. On the way there, we chatted sweetly and laughed a lot. When we arrived, our eyes bugged out. Grandpa had given me the address of a dilapidated shack.
Do you really live here?
Apparently, yeah. The door of the shack fell off and Grandpa walked out of it. He acted like a feeble old man and spouted nonsense. Seems like Grandpa Finn was enjoying this a bit too much.
Our life has been very hard, dear. Money's really tight.
I nudged Grandpa so he wouldn't overdo it. Luckily, Billy didn't notice. He was looking at me like I was a superheroine. Wow, Nikki, your life is so hard, but you're so positive. I really admire you. I wanted to knock him out with a bear hug. Billy more than proved to me that he didn't care about money. However, it really pissed me off that my mom was still lying to me. She kept insisting she didn't know anything about Mr. Collins. Like I would believe that. That fake teacher was acting weird and constantly stared at Billy and I. It was obvious he didn't know anything about art. If he was a teacher, then I was an astronaut. The next day, Billy came to school with a serious limp, and his beautiful face was red all over. I came up to him in the dining room and I anxiously asked him what happened.
I need to tell you something. I only look like an athlete. I'm actually really clumsy. And if I eat something wrong, I get breakouts. I'm not really handsome.
He sighed sadly and looked away. I decided to cheer Billy up and said that his beauty was coming from within. After all, everyone had breakouts and tripped sometimes. Billy immediately beamed.
Nikki, do you really think so? You're amazing.
I told him to stay there and I left to buy some food. I was standing in line behind his coach and teammate. The things I heard made my heart sink.
I don't understand what's going on with Billy. He's the best player on the team. Why'd he ask me to bench him? He just wants to fool some girl. He even drew acne on his face and faked a limp today.
What the heck? It was all fake. Billy owed me an explanation, and I was going to get it. But then I saw Hugh come up to him and tell him something. Jeez, who let him in our school? I stormed up to them and scowled. Hugh swallowed, terrified, and immediately ran away. I turned to Billy and I ran my finger over his face. The makeup smeared. He really had drawn on his acne. Is this lipstick?
Yeah, it's my mom's.
Why'd you lie to me? You're the best player on the team and your skin and leg are fine.
How about you explain why you lied to me, huh? Hugh told me you're filthy rich.
Hugh had apparently decided that if I didn't want to get back with him, then he wouldn't let me and Billy become an item either. Except it didn't matter anymore because I was done with being lied to. I decided I wouldn't forgive Billy for lying. We kept fighting until suddenly I heard a familiar clicking sound. I turned around and saw that Mr. Collins had taken a picture of Billy and I arguing. And then he left the dining room whistling. That was it! I was going to lose it! I decided to get proof that my mom had hired him to follow me around. Maybe then she would stop denying it. How dumb did they think I was? I shouted at Billy that I didn't want to talk to him anymore. And then at recess, I snuck into the classroom and started rummaging around through the desk drawers of our art history teacher. Well, well, well. What did we have here? Wow. Would you look at that? I found a thick folder with photos of Billy and I. I saw pictures of us having lunch on the lawn and sitting at the stadium, and then photos of Billy going home and chatting with his friends. To my surprise, there were more pictures of Billy than there were of me. His training schedule and the names of his friends were all in the folder as well. Maybe Mom really hadn't hired Mr. Collins. Then who was he and what did he want from us?
What are you doing?
Damn it, I got so carried away that I hadn't noticed Billy come into the classroom. I was about to tell him about the photos I found when I heard footsteps in the hallway. I grabbed Billy by the arm and I dragged him into the closet. Mr. Collins walked into the classroom. He started to write something at his desk and we hid.
How long are we gonna sit here?
Until he leaves. Actually, I liked going on adventures like this with the guy I liked. I had been in the wrong when I lied to him, too. So I apologized and I whispered to him that I was afraid to trust people because of my friends who had betrayed me. I explained that I wanted to see if he would be interested in me, even if I was poor first.
I'm sorry that they treated you like that, but I really like you. To be honest, I was testing you for the same reason.
And then he told me that he was tired of girls falling for his face and his muscles. He wanted to see if all I cared about was his looks. I almost burst out laughing. We were perfect for each other. We silently smiled and held hands.
By the way, your grandpa's pretty awesome.
Yeah, he's always there for me.
I've never even met my grandpa or my father.
He sighed sadly and said that his dad had left his mom after Billy was born. It hadn't been easy for them.
I know my dad is a scoundrel, but I still want to meet him.
Poor Billy. He'd been through so much too. I sighed so loudly that Mr. Collins heard it. He opened the closet and swore.
What are you doing in here?
The nerve of him! I could play this game too. I put my hands on my hips and I glared at Mr. Collins. Who are you and why have you been following me and Billy around? You better answer. The man blinked, surprised.
I've been gathering information about Billy, that's true. But all I know about you is that you're his classmate.
Billy ran out of patience and demanded an explanation.
Tell us the truth or I call the police.
And I'll call my grandpa.
I wish the circumstances were better, but the thing is, Billy, I'm not a teacher, I'm your father.
What? I felt like we were in a soap opera. I was stunned, and poor Billy fell over from shock. Mr. Collins said that he had always felt guilty for abandoning his family. He wanted to get to know his son, but he didn't know where to start.
I pretended to be a teacher to get closer to you. I wanted to find out what you're interested in and get to know you. I know I'm a terrible father, but please forgive me if you can.
Wait, if my mom didn't hire you and you were watching Billy and not me, then where did you get the ring from my mom's collection?
This one? I bought it on sale. It's so beautiful.
Well, I couldn't argue with that. Billy shyly hugged his dad. They had a lot to discuss, but I had a feeling they would get along. We cleared everything up and I was over the moon. After all, my mom hadn't actually been lying to me. My grandfather was always supportive, and I even found new love in my school. We all sometimes have to deal with mean jerks, but we shouldn't despair because there are much more good people around. Press the like button and see you soon.